Trafficking in Trinidad.
Stigma in St Lucia.
And hidden bruises shame the region.
From across the Caribbean,
This is Live Up the Show.
Hi everyone. Reagan and I were just talking about how beautiful the natural environment is here in the Caribbean, and therefore how important it is for us to support it and to support one another.
Oh, totally, Alex. That's completely right. Well, we have a report from St Lucia showing that although a great deal of progress is being made with regards to stopping the spread of HIV, well, Alex, stigma and discrimination, still presenting major obstacles on that road to zero infections.
I know. I mean, we need to replace stigma with support. It would go a lot further.
Of course, and we can really make that difference, right? Well, Charmaine Gandhi Andrews was recently honored by US Secretary of State John Kerry for the dedication and energy she has devoted as director of the newly formed counter-trafficking unit in Trinidad and Tobago. It's because of her team's efforts that TNT has come off the watch list and moved up to the regular Tier 2 list in the State Department report on global human trafficking.
They are doing incredible work. In fact, in the first 18 months of the counter-trafficking unit's existence, they rescued 12 foreign victims and arrested several offenders.
Well, and yet there are quite a few Caribbean countries still on that watch list. I mean, there seems to be a reluctance to actually accept that modern-day slavery is flourishing right in front of us.
Recently, Reagan interviewed a group of graduating students in Trinidad who produced a film on human trafficking that graphically illustrates the fate of many young girls and women in our region. Those so-called runaways, or missing presumed dead, are often living a half-life as someone's slave, sometimes right in our midst.
Can I have an iPhone, please, Mommy?
No,
Why?
because I love you, that's why.
But, Mommy, I want an iPhone. I want to take selfies too.
It starts with the lure, then abduction. What happens next can range from forced domestic servitude to illicit sexual demands and the sale of internal human organs. Just a few of the reasons why persons across the world are taken. And here in TNT, although cited as a major transnational point for all that is illegal, the figures show that very little is known of human trafficking.
I knew it existed, but I wasn't sure how bad it was. I wasn't sure. So after doing the research, I was quite alarmed because from the figures that I saw, I realized there are a lot more children that are missing that we know about.
A team of graduating students of media and communications at the School of Business and Computer Science here in TNT were faced with the challenge of producing a film about human trafficking at its worst.
The challenges in researching for this film was to get accurate information from our authorities. I mean, we had to check with the counter-trafficking unit, and because the information is so sensitive, it's very difficult to get exact figures from them.
Research, well, we did content analysis using, the Express newspaper from 2007. We looked at other newspapers as well. Challenges, there is no set thing saying that yes, there's human trafficking. So basically we are left to come to our own conclusions, draw and just connect the dots. So there are a lot of gaps.
I think a lot more could be done because a lot of people don't know exactly what it is that's going on. And I mean, even if it's advertisements or posters or any kind of media, we have the advantage of social media now. They should use it to their advantage and make people aware, let people know what it is that's going on. This is a real issue. This is a global pandemic that, I mean, it happens to people every day and a lot of people don't know about it.
Listen to me. I cannot sell you malnourished.
The information is scarce, but the graduating students of the SPCS hope their film can create a sense of awareness in all those who view it.
Did you prep up?
Boss lady, I'm not comfortable with that to know. I have a 7-year-old daughter.
Save me the purse. Do you love your daughter?
Yes, boss.
Well then do as I say.
I think as a country, we haven't come to the realization that it is existing. I think we're still there, we on the sidelines. We're not sure, yes it exists, but we are not ready to accept that it exists. And I think that's one of the major reasons. So now we don't have a set body dealing with it.
Hey, you gonna get me real vexed now, girl. You gonna get me real vexed now. Watch now. What happened? This one real stubborn boy. That's what she is.
In my adolescent years, I was always brave, and that is what I try to portray in character, being brave. But I'm not sure what I would have done if I was in the actual position, but I probably would have tried my best to be brave.
If it wasn't for this project, I wouldn't know what I know today. And there are a lot of people like me, like my family, when I was showing them the film or doing my scripts, a lot of them were like, okay, so how do you know that people are being trafficked? All of this is just rumors. But I'm saying there is some sort of evidence that children are missing. Where are they going?
You shouldn't be out there trying to find my daughter.
I understand your pain.
Understand what? Don't give me all this politically correct bullshit, you know. Get out of here and try and find my daughter. Get out!
It's made me ask questions, and that's what we need to do as a public. And the government, they need to make us aware, so as a society we could start to ask questions, and I guess that will build the awareness.
It starts with us. And as simple as doing this movie, it starts with you. You know, if you're not aware of yourself, you're not aware of your surroundings, you're not aware of the people that is around you, well then you probably are a target. It makes you an easier target.
For Gael the Channel, this is Reagan the Vignes in Trinidad and Tobago.
There, to be aware of yourself and your surroundings. Don't let yourself be a target. And if one of your group gets drunk, we've all been there, let's be honest, don't just leave them, like make sure they get home safely as well.
Yes.
We have to keep an eye out for one another. Well done, Reagan. That was a really thought-provoking report, and I'm sure it's going to open a lot of people's eyes.
Oh, that's the plan. Well, originally an information piece to accompany a stage drama, then a standalone documentary, now Hidden Bruises is on its way to being a series. Alex recently met with young filmmaker Cabral Lark-Trotman to find out much more. Next.
Driving around on the public road fast is a hazard. Drinking and unprotected sex is just another example of careless and irresponsible behavior. I think it's really important for young people to try and actually be engaged in what is smart and what is right for first yourself and then others. That mutual respect needs to be nurtured. So from the circle, love, protect, and respect. Live up.
Live up, shout, live up.
When Lark and his co-writer, Dr. Charmaine Crawford, who is director of the Institute of Gender and Development Studies at Cave Hill, started working on the documentary Hidden Bruises, they were looking for some stories to fill an hour of viewing time. What they found was much, much more. Welcome, Lark. What first inspired you to get into gender issues?
It stemmed from my family and those experiences, and kind of expanded as I went around the Caribbean interviewing.
Probably quite a cathartic experience for you, know? Some people, if they experience that in their lives, they shut up and maybe don't want to talk about it. You've made it your life's work.
Yeah, I have. It's been challenging sometimes, you know, hearing everyone unpack and, you know, share their emotions. But I think the cause and the purpose of the project is very important. So I just want to contribute towards reducing the prevalence rate of HIV and violence in the Caribbean.
Just suffered domestic violence from a guy. This incident came off a relationship that he just tell the guy, like, that's it, relationship finished. And he took a stone and pung her in her head.
So Lark, what do you hope to achieve in the long run? What's your end game?
Well, with this project, I'm hoping to heighten awareness around HIV and violence in the Caribbean. And I really want to get these projects into the universities. And, you know, so nonprofits can use them, and NGOs and other spaces in the Caribbean and the diaspora.
What has the response been?
The people working on the ground You know, they're really happy when they see me come through and trying to provide a voice and a face, and you know. So that's what. So I'm looking at these projects, and I want to showcase what they're doing as well. So I'm not just studying or looking at the victims. I'm looking at the people working with HIV and violence, and from different perspectives. I'm telling stories around that, and then we'll just interrogate the issue based on following these stories so people could connect.
Lark, your producer on this project, Jessica Jaja, I understand she set up a screening in Ottawa. How did that go?
That went pretty well, actually. We got the University of Ottawa and the University of Carleton, and the Caribbean Students Associations of both of those universities came together, and they rallied around the project and put posters and flyers all over both universities and got everyone to come out. And we had a fundraiser. Some people from Haiti were coming up after, and you know, they were very interested in incorporating the French Caribbean into the project.
Wonderful.
So now that has me thinking about the French and Spanish Caribbean, and then being involved in the discussion and showing their lives. And so it's a more holistic project in general.
A lot of the times women say that, you know, they've been calling the police and calling, but, you know, they don't ever come to their rescue. And when they do come, in cases where they show up, you know, they usually just encourage the couple to stay together and work things out between themselves. In some cases, they say things to the woman like, why you don't go in your bed and lay down and sleep, or why you don't stop being so miserable. You know, things that are inappropriate, especially in situations where a woman has just been beaten and is in fear of her life, or threatened with a weapon, whether it be a knife or a gun. To have that kind of callous approach is very, you know, unprofessional. So it's very important for the police to respond to every call of domestic violence. Whether the woman decides to stay with the man afterwards, when I say the man, I mean her spouse, whether she decides to stay or leave, you know, we can't judge her. You know, the police just has to keep responding every time she calls, because it's a very serious thing. It's a matter of life and death.
So the project is expanding, and we're in the process of trying to raise funds.
So how do people get involved if they want to donate?
If they want to donate, they can visit our website at hiddenbruisesthefilm.com.
And you, my friend, are doing excellent work. Congratulations.
Significant strides have been made since the first reported case of HIV in St Lucia back in 1985. However, HIV and AIDS-related stigma and discrimination have played a major role in reducing data collection on persons living with HIV. After initial diagnosis, almost half never enroll into care, often not seeking help until it's too late.
According to the St Lucia Annual HIV/AIDS Surveillance Report of 2012, since the first diagnosed case of HIV infection in 1985, the annual number of reported cases have followed a steadily increasing trend of peaks and troughs.
We've had 0% mother-to-child transmission in the last 5 years, so there are less children being introduced into the pediatric program. And as well, we've had success in terms of increasing access to services for persons living with HIV. And we also have support groups that help persons living with HIV to sort of take care of each other. And there are other things on stream that we'd like, such as perhaps voluntary male circumcision to reduce the risk of transmission of HIV, which studies have shown has had a great impact in Africa.
Tender Loving Care, or TLC, is a support group for persons living with or affected by HIV.
Though I can say that we've come a long way, it is still pretty much real. This is why we've not gotten anyone to come out publicly to speak, because, you know, of the stigma and discrimination, you know, they actually face with. Whether it's on mere speculation that a person might be positive, you know, but it affects them directly, and it's very, very much real.
Patients do not want to be stigmatized by anybody, even their family members. That's why they don't even tell their own family members that they have the disease. Because a lot of times they might not trust that person might speak to other people, and then that level of discrimination can disseminate, be pervasive in the home and in the community.
The Caribbean HIV/AIDS Alliance is a core support organization for people living with HIV. The aim of the organization is to reduce HIV transmission among key populations by working with persons who are positive to improve their quality of life and prevent reinfection.
The Caribbean HIV/AIDS Alliance does not operate on its own. We do not have parallel programs, HIV programs. We exist to support the National AIDS programs in the 7 countries where we operate. What we found with key populations or with most at-risk populations, even if the structures are there, the services are there, they do not go because they feel that when they go, they've been stigmatized and discriminated.
Stigma and discrimination does play a role, especially with patients who are admitted into hospital. When you give them the diagnosis, it's very hard for them, and it takes them a while before they actually accept that. Some people don't accept it, and they give up. They give up and they die, and that's what kills them. It's not the disease itself, but just the stigma, just the feeling of you having HIV. That's what actually kills a lot of people.
There was a situation reported to us where preschool, a little child toddler was kept in a corner because the parents were thought to be HIV positive. They refused to allow the other children to play with her or for her to participate in activities at that preschool. When we hear of these stories, we realize, you know the depth of work that still has to be done.
Let's not look down on anyone, because HIV will not respect anyone. If you put yourself in a position, in a position to contract the virus, or sometimes, even sometimes, you might just be a husband or wife who feel that your wife or your partner is so faithful to you, or you're so faithful to them, and they might just go out there, and it might just be a one-time thing. It might just be one time you have a sexual intercourse or some sexual contact, and you get the virus.
So we're moving in the right direction, and it's a question of having people to come forward to get tested for HIV and making them aware that HIV is now a chronic disease and that they can live a long life just like anybody else with HIV.
You can't tell by simply looking whether a person is HIV positive, but you can destroy someone's life through stigma and discrimination. Today, HIV is viewed like any other chronic disease like diabetes or hypertension. The hope of achieving an AIDS-free generation is to learn to love, protect, and have respect for one another. From the Media and Communications Unit of the Ministry of Health, I am Glenn Simon reporting for Live Up the Show.
An AIDS-free generation sounds like something we'd all want, right? Yeah. And yet many stand in the way of achieving this goal by scaring those that are HIV positive into silence and shame. That is stigma and that is discrimination.
Live and let live has a literal meaning when it comes to HIV, right?
I'm so glad we're doing this series, Reagan. Special thanks to the Maria Holder Memorial Trust for making it possible this year. There is so much we all need to learn and share in order that we can be the change we want to see in our region. You first, Reagan. What would you like to see change?
Oh, wow, that's a hard one. Well, I think we can start by paying more attention to figuring out why we do the things we do, why we say the things we say. Because too often I think, Alex, that we do things that are learned from our ancestors, from our parents, etc. And it's not always good stuff.
And we're not really thinking it through.
Exactly. What about you?
Well, I think I'd like to see change in how we interact as genders.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just people, human beings. I see you as more than a man.
Thank you.
I think I would like to see more love and compassion for our brothers and sisters.
Completely agree with you, definitely. When we come back, we ask what change you'd like to see in society.
Part of living is going out and making good informed decisions. This is the most powerful defense in my mind of our generation. We have a serious problem with AIDS, we have a serious problem with a lot of things that young people are dealing with. But we have to be the one that create the social movement that change it. We have to be the change agent we're looking for. Remember, live up, love, protect, respect.
Live up, shout, live up, shout.
Hey, People often say, I wish it were different. So if you had the power, what change would you make? What do you think we could do to make our lives better and improve the lives of those around us?
Well, one change I would make is that I would try to make persons more aware of certain social ills. For example, gender violence, as we were going to discuss. I think it's something a lot of persons tend to shy away from, or they don't have a very good idea of what it is or how they can help persons that are undergoing such ailments. And so I would try to educate persons about that.
To change society, I think that we need to incorporate the older generation more because they've gone through a lot more, they have more experiences. So to pass down that knowledge and that understanding to the younger generation so that they can pass it down to another generation and keep replenishing that source of education and information. As everyone grows older, they will have more things to pass down.
Well, I have to say that one of the main problems we have in society is that people are not centered on topics that don't interest them. And I believe that people should come together more on a topic and unify and show people that this is what we're interested in. Even if it doesn't interest you or affect you directly, you should still be involved in it and try to make a difference.
One of the fundamental things I see that society needs more of is knowledge and understanding. We always find a chasm between what people should do and what they're actually doing. And that fundamentally creates the problems for many things we see, whether it's gender violence, whether it's HIV and AIDS. I believe that just knowledge is the imperative thing that must be perpetuated in society.
What I could do is raise awareness for different events. I act with a group back home, so I would use my talent or myself as a vessel to raise awareness for different causes.
The view that everyone has on their own health, their sexual health, and actually I made that statement because I joined UE Heart for that reason. So that's a general idea of what I would change.
Some interesting answers there, right? Hey, and if you want to join the conversation, you can follow Live Up on Facebook and Twitter.
And you can catch all the episodes you may have missed of Live Up the show. You just have to go onto YouTube and look for I Live Up campaign. That's the I Live Up campaign on YouTube.
And in case you missed this interview when it first aired a couple of seasons ago, here's Alison Hines, the Caribbean soca queen, and of course one of our first Live Up heroes, talking to Live Up the show.
Through the news, through the media, I think that's where I really got my first heads up that there was this disease called HIV and AIDS. The key is getting the message across to the generations that are coming behind us, to let them know exactly what the situation is and not hide it and not pretty it up. Don't dress it up, don't put a bow on it. Make it very clear and very upfront and in their face, because I think that's the only thing that they're gonna understand. Don't hide anything from them, because that is the only way that they're going to know and say, you know what, this is something not to be messed with. I have to do everything in my power to prevent myself from becoming HIV positive. My advice to young women specifically, cherish the body that you have, no matter how cute, no matter how sweet he may be. If you are going to have sex, please use a condom. Girls, carry them around yourselves. Don't be dependent on guys. Get tested. Be proud to be a woman. I'm Alison Hines, and this is how I live up. Love, protect, respect. I have no problem expressing myself on stage, and I know that I set parameters for myself, even in terms of my stage performance, that I am never ever, and I never have, I'm never gonna cross the line into vulgarity. I'm proud to be feminine, I'm proud to be independent, I'm proud to be strong, and it is on my terms. And there's no way that anybody is gonna get anything from me that I don't want to give. I would like to tell the young men specifically that learn how to, you too have to learn how to care for yourself. And I mean, if I had a son, my son would learn how to cook, clean, wash, press, sweep, everything, because I would let him know there is no woman on this earth that is your maid. There is no woman on this earth that has to do anything for you. So you be able to do it for yourself. Don't pander to us. but treat us well. Treat us as your equal. Treat us with respect. And if you treat us like that, we will give you the same.
Oh, Alison is such an excellent live-up hero. She speaks about safe sex and empowering women. Well, I guess that's why the Barbados Business and Professional Women's Club recently made her their ambassador.
And she sets a good example of empowerment herself.
Yeah.
Right? She works around the world, she's a wife, she's a mother, and altogether a really cool person.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Well, we've got a great show lined up for you next month when we look at St Lucia's efforts to stem human trafficking and what Grenada is doing to keep the focus on HIV awareness.
Until then, live up, love, protect, respect. That was real good, Ian. I was acting and everything. Mounts of the months, sorry.
Mounts?
Yeah. Don't start this nonsense. Hi, everyone. This is Reagan's fault. One last time.